4, set up systematic programs. Don't just hope that this stuff will come online. Come up with what you want them to learn, develop a plan, and then put it into action. And of course, that's all fleshed out more in the book. Now, these are some great ideas for what they came up with for how to facilitate these skills. One is the toy match. And I wanted to go through these real quick because I hadn't heard of some of these when I first read. So toy match would be if your child has some favorite toys, sending those same toys to school so that they will have something familiar at the school environment to interact with and help facilitate some of the social interactions. Borrowing is the opposite. Ask the school if you can borrow some of their toys so you can teach the child how to play with them at home, and then that way when he sees them at school, he could, play with them. Rules. If you have a child who understands rules, and most of our kids love rules, you can set up some social rules about what to do and not to do in different situations, how to start a conversation, how to end a conversation, what to talk about when somebody asks you a question, all that kind of stuff. Structured activities. Don't just do free play. You have to set up a situation where there's an actual purpose to the activity. Make ice cream sundaes, bake a cake, make some cookies, do a Play-Doh project, have actual plan to your social activity. Fixation games. Take something that your child's absolutely obsessed with and make it into a game. So if your child really likes Little Einsteins, make a Little Einsteins matching game. Or if your child really likes to do physical interactions, have an obstacle course. You want to do things that they're going to be interested in and motivated by. Food talk. This is where you would have them talk about food, which a lot of our kids, that's easy. Like you go to snack time and everybody talks about what they're eating, or they talk about their favorite food. That's a really easy conversation to have. Sharing food. A lot of the kids might be on special diets, but if you send in some food that tastes good that they could all share, and then you guys are exchanging and trading food, and he has to ask his friend for something, and his friend's going to ask him for something. And the best way to do this is to give your child's favorite food to their friend, and his friend's favorite food to him, so that they have to ask each other for the foods and have an interaction that way. The social routines would be having set routines to follow in social situations. So knowing that when somebody comes in the room, I say, "Hi, how are you?" and then practicing that. Show and talk, letting the child bring in some of their favorite toys and having kind of like show and tell, but instead of just saying it's pretty much like show and tell. This is my cat and its name is Fluffy and it has a tail. But practicing it at home first so that they can say those things about it. And then the last one is peer assistance, and this is what?
Poor cat.
Oh. The last one is peer assistance. This is a huge one that a lot of the schools do not take enough advantage of, and that is having the peers help the child. Because a lot of the time, even though our kids don't interact with their peers, they are motivated by their peers, and they do want to fit in, and they do want to do what their peers are doing, they just don't know how to. So sometimes they're going to be more motivated to do something because a peer is helping them than they would if the adults helped them. It's okay. Play dates. How many of you have tried to have play dates? Anybody? How many of you have not tried to have play dates because you have no idea how you would ever do that? Okay. So they actually have a whole entire manual on how to set up a play date, and the basic technique is it's pretty much just having structure. So you want to make sure you schedule them. They don't just happen randomly, but they happen often, once a week. You want to find a child with potential. You don't want to pick a kid who is the meanest kid in the class and never listens or follows direction, because that's probably not going to help a whole lot. Some parents have a hard time with this, because it's hard to interact with parents and kind of explain the situation, but a lot of the times we've had success with church groups, if they're in Sunday school or something, or just at the school, if you can volunteer in the classroom and you can kind of pinpoint some kids, you can ask the child's teacher. If they're in a classroom where there's not any typically developing children, you could ask to talk to some of the teachers of the typically developing classrooms to see if they have any volunteers.